how you can become a better negotiator in real estate. Today we're going to discuss a little bit more about negotiation, your negotiation skills, right? I get a lot of questions from real estate agents all across the world as how can I be a better negotiator? How can I make sure that I close deals faster, that I get my buyers and seller closer together? How do I become part of that negotiation so I can make sure that things keep flowing? And I'm just going to simply give you 4 points today that seem like a simple process, but negotiations is not that really simple process. There's not one way or one secret or one technique, right? Negotiations is like a dance. And you need to dance with everybody, you need to follow and you need to lead. You need to follow and you need to lead. And as you manage that process, the dance becomes this very beautiful flow. And if everybody dances the same way, a negotiation actually can become very successful. I don't really believe in the techniques of negotiations. I believe more in the art of the negotiation. And it's all going to be about 4 points that I'm going to give to you today. What is your goal in the negotiation? Can you label people during a negotiation? Are you courageous enough to ask open questions during negotiations? And number 4, are you able to give them the final no-brain offer? So, are you ready? Let's get started. Oh, by the way, since we are talking about negotiations, let's have a little negotiations, just you and me, right? I'm just not gonna continue this video until you have subscribed to my channel here right now. Yes, okay, yes. I see your finger. Okay, and again, welcome here at the Propcoach channel. So happy that you're here with us. Thank you, by the way, for subscribing. Coach Taco coming to you in this new episode where we discuss a little bit more in how to become a better negotiator in real estate. Hey, negotiations can be quite stressful, right? A lot of people are very fearful of negotiations because it becomes in this very uncomfortable zone where people make offers, where people start to disagree with each other, get into arguments. You can have a lot of negative beliefs in terms of negotiations, but I just want to relax you here for a while that negotiations is nothing more or less than just trying to get people close together based on what they believe is the right value. It's simply like that, right? At the end of the day, everybody is protecting their own interests, their own benefits, and as they try to move close together, they're just finding the best ways into simply win the deal. And you as a professional real estate agent or a professional negotiator, professional realtor, professional whatever you're doing in any market, trying to get buyers and sellers, people closer together, is all about you managing the emotions correctly. Yes, it's all about the emotional game. You know, how do you protect somebody's emotion? How do you maintain somebody's emotion? And how do you make sure that people don't get too angry, but at the same time don't get too calm or too comfortable during a negotiation? So all of that, we kind of can put everything together into a beautiful journey of 4 points, right? If you walk these 4 points step by step and you do it the right way, actually you will be able to close more deals. You will be able to manage the emotions better, and at the end of the day, get a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation. Now, if you want to know more about negotiation, of course, we have a lot of courses here at Propcoach that we teach on that. But the first thing that you need to know about negotiations is every negotiation is a journey. It's not something that happens very fast. It's basically walking together on this pathway, and you need to reach a destination. And the destination is very, very important. That means you always have to start with the end in mind. Also, for a goal, you need to have the end in mind. What is the goal of your buyer? What is the goal of your seller? And do they have aligned goals, right? Can you, based on their goals, bring them closer together? Because if they have very unrealistic goals, or if they have basically goals that don't benefit the other party, then it's always very difficult already to make a deal. Right? At the end of the day, if somebody would just say, hey, my goal is to manipulate my buyer, hey, that is a wrong goal, right? Then the negotiation already starts at the wrong foot. And that is really where you can just stop the negotiations all there. But if you have a seller that says, I really want to sell, and you have a buyer that says, I really want to buy, then we have aligned goals. So once the goal is aligned, you can actually automatically already start going to step 2. And what is step 2? This is what I like to call labeling. Can you label the clients? Labeling simply means, are you making sure that you manage their emotions? What do they feel about this negotiation? How do they step into these negotiations? Can you make sure that you communicate clearly to both parties in what would be the effects of these negotiations? How would they feel? How would they receive? And of course, how would they have to continue with that? And I will give you a small example here. Let's say in your market right now, there is a big buyer's market. That means that the buyer has more power than the seller. And the buyer makes a super duper low offer. How do you think that is going to make the seller feel? If you would just take that offer and you would just bring it to the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, this is the offer. Of course, the seller feels very offended. Of course, the seller feels very down. They feel very disappointed, right? They will blame it on you. But there's a little trick for this. I call that labeling. Labeling is basically managing the emotion before you basically send the message. So let's say your buyer made a very low offer and you're about to bring that to the seller. You say, hey, Mr. Seller, I have some great news. Listen, I got an offer. But before I give you the offer, I just want you to let you know it's a very low offer. And you're not going to be super happy with that offer, but don't worry, Mr. Seller. This is just the start of the negotiations. As long as we just take this offer, we strategize, we can come with a counter and then see where this negotiation is going. You see what I'm doing here? Before I give him the offer, I'm actually labeling his expectations. I'm making sure that I manage his emotions. What is super important during negotiations? You as the middleman, as the person that's going between the buyer and the seller, you're in a constant motion of emotion, if you know what I'm meaning. You're always trying to make sure that your buyer and your seller are feeling okay, they're feeling comfortable, they know what is coming. I can throw the ball at you, but if I didn't tell you I throw the ball will hit your head. But if I tell you, hey, catch this ball, and then I throw the ball, you will probably catch the ball, right? I'm already managing the emotions between buyers and sellers that they catch what is coming to them. That is step number 2. That means we can go to step number 3. Step number 3 is my favorite part. The key and the most important element of negotiations is asking open questions, not closed questions. Closed questions are questions like yes and no. You don't want to ask those questions. You want to ask open questions. Open questions like, how are you expecting to do that, Mr. Buyer? How do you expect to move forward, Mr. Seller? How were you able to justify your price, Mr. Buyer? How are you able to deliver on this contract, Mr. Seller? How are you able to get the financing for this property, Mr. Buyer? These are all open questions. And you see that most of these questions, they start with how. How? Usually I don't ask many questions with why. Because why, that can be sometimes a little bit, sounds a little ignorant, or sometimes even can feel like I'm blaming something. Hey, why are you making this offer? If I tell you, if you give me a low offer, I say, why are you making this offer? Or I can ask you like this, right? How are you expecting me to close the deal like this? Or how are you expecting me to move forward on this? Or how are you expecting the seller to react to this? This is basically pushing the ball back to your buyer and letting them think a little bit, is it realistic what they are doing? So again, step 3 is all about asking open questions, and ask them as many as you can. Negotiations is all about questions, questions, questions. If you ask enough questions, it will eventually lead you to the deal itself. That brings me immediately to step number 4. At a certain point, some negotiations will get stuck. So people are not moving, people are not going up, people are not going down. So there's always a final thing, what I like to call the no cash offer, right? Is there something that you can offer from one side to the other side that is not involving any cash? Because usually this is all about money, right? They want to pay lower, they want to receive higher. And as the money is not moving, the question is, can you add something else into the negotiation that can make things move? Is there something that you can add to the deal so that one of the two parties gets unstuck? And that is super important, right? Because at the end of the day, especially in real estate, it's a lot about money, but you can always find other conditions, other terms, or maybe other additional items within the property that can help you within the negotiations. And I have done this hundreds of times in the negotiations in the past, where you simply start to become creative. In negotiations, you must be courageous enough to be creative, to find ways to get things unstuck. So this is what I like to call the no cash offer at the end. That is really all the tips that I want to give to you today about how you can become a better negotiator within the real estate. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know how you feel in the comment box below. Really enjoy always spending time with you here on our YouTube channel. See you next time again here at Propcoach. Bye-bye.